Welcome, duelist, to my arena of lost souls. Now, I must ask you all a question. Are you prepared to deal with the scarifying horrors that lie before you? Are you? Today's video is going to be about Call of the Haunted, which is a pretty cool trap card. It can bring monsters back from the graveyard, and I'm not wearing this mask the entire time, so don't worry about it! Although, my hair is, I think, scary enough. Let's get some lights on in here. Alright, so to start off the month of October, we are, of course, doing Call of the Haunted. It is a trap card that was released in Pharaoh's Servant. It's probably one of the most well-known trap cards from that era. I think because it had a major role in the anime, and that's where a lot of famous cards kind of got their notoriety. Not necessarily because they had a really good effect, but because, like, Yugi used it in the anime, and everyone was like, whoa, I need to get myself a Horn of Heaven right now, or something of that line. So, Call of the Haunted, of course, played a major role in Bonz's duel against Joey, or, if you're a fan of the Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh!, his name is Ghost Kotszuka. Ghost Kotszuka! It's fun to say, not for the Kotsuzuka part, but just for the fact that, like, Ghost is in his name. But, I think the 4Kids dub did a pretty good job just simplifying it to just Bonz. And, of course, not Bones like B-O-N-E-S, but like B-O-N-Z. Just add a Z on the end of it. Hey, man, it was the early 2000s, you gotta do what you gotta do. Add just random Z's at the end of words, that works. And Call of the Haunted certainly piqued a lot of duelist interest when Bonz used it against Joey. Now, like a lot of cards in the anime, it was altered a little bit. Just a little bit to make it horribly, hideously broken beyond reproach. But before I get to discuss what Call of the Haunted was in the anime, I think I need to read to you the entry in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Card catalog from the far-gone era of 2005. Alright, so, Call of the Haunted. Surprise your opponent with this trap card to bring back a powerful monster from your graveyard. If destroying your monster once was difficult, think how hard it will be the second time! Exclamation point. This was an ultra rare, by the way. I don't think I ever got a Call of the Haunted, ultra rare, but this was one of the cards that was released in, like, every starter deck for so long. You would take a look at the starter deck and go down. I think even now, you can look at it and go down through the list and you'd be like, oh yeah, Call of the Haunted's in there. So it's an incredibly, easy card to get your hands on. But yeah, if you have an ultra rare version from Pharaoh's Servant, that might be worth some money. But yeah, I love that. I love that. It goes on to say, you know, like, if destroying your monster once was difficult, think how hard it'll be the second time. Not realizing that it's like, if you had a really strong monster out, and your opponent summoned a monster to destroy it, whether because it had an effect or it had higher attack points, like let's say you have the Dark Magician out and it's just wiping the floor with your opponent, and then your opponent plays the Blue Eyes and destroys the Dark Magician, be like, yeah, joke's on you, Call of the Haunted, come back, Dark Magician, and raise your power. White Lightning, wait, what? Ah! And then it just gets destroyed again, so like, yeah, but no, it would be harder to destroy the second time around. Call of the Haunted, though, it's really not that good. I mean, let's read the actual effect. Let's see what it does here. Activate this card by targeting one monster in your graveyard. Alright, easy enough so far. Special summon that target in face-up attack position. Okay, that kind of limits you a little bit, but not really. I mean, it's special summoned specifically in attack mode, but okay, fine, whatever. That's not that big of a deal. When this card leaves the field, destroy that target. When that target is destroyed, destroy this card. See, this is one of those cards that I had, like I said, I never had an ultra rare, but it was really easy to get your hands on it, so I had a few copies of this card back when I was a kid. You know, when you're a kid playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With just your buddies, and you really don't know, you don't, like, follow every single rule, you don't do it competitively, so there's certain things that you overlook, like the verbiage of a card. You really need to pay attention to every word, because destroy is different from leaves the field. All right, those things are not necessarily the same thing. They can be, but not necessarily. So that's why, like, I always used to think that, and back me up on this, please tell me I'm not the only kid that thought this. I used to think that Mystical Space Typhoon could negate magic and trap cards. Right? So my opponent could throw down Raigeki, and I could be like, Mystical Space Typhoon, it says right there, destroy one magic or trap card. Raigeki's a magic card, it's out of here! Not realizing that it says destroy, not negate. So Raigeki's effect is still activated. You know? So Call of the Haunted was one of those cards that said, when that monster is destroyed, this card is destroyed as well. But for instance, let's say you activate Call of the Haunted, it's a continuous trap, so it's taking up a spot in your spell and trap zone. You bring a monster back, but let's say your opponent uses a card to not destroy it, but banish it, or return it to your hand, or pop it back into the extra deck if that's where it originally came from. It doesn't destroy it, but it leaves the field. Call of the Haunted still stays up on your side of the field, in your spell and trap zone, just taking up a slot, and it's good for nothing at that point. These are the kind of things I didn't realize until I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online with, like, the automated rule system and everything, like the YGO Pro and the Dev Pro thing. That's when I started to realize, why is Call of the Haunted still on the field? Is it glitching? And I'm like, no, it's the verbiage. You didn't pay attention to it. I'm like, oh, well, that's stupid. So, yeah, okay. So, but let's talk about what Call of the Haunted did in the anime, because that's great. So, first off, Call of the Haunted was actually a magic card in the anime. Yeah, here's an image of it in the original Japanese. It was, in fact, a spell card, so they had to change it, of course, in the 4Kids. And this is one of the things that 4Kids actually did quite well, is they corrected it, so in the 4Kids dub, it is in fact a trap card. However, it's still kind of messed up because the way Bonz used it, or Ghost Kotszuka used it in the original Japanese, was he could just throw it down on the field. Like, it's his turn and he just throws down Call of the Haunted because it was originally a spell card. But in the anime, I mean, in the 4Kids dub, they changed it to a trap, but they couldn't change that he, just throws it out there. Now, this is Season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh!, so maybe you'll give it a pass, but I won't. They broke the rules, and they need to be judged for that. Even if the rules did not yet exist because the card game did not yet exist, they need to be judged and hold steadfast for their crimes for breaking the future rules. I just like to talk about things that happen in the Season 1 anime. Like, I have an episode of on Panic coming up this month, the time that Yugi used the catapult turtle to destroy a castle's flotation ring to crush a bunch of Panic's monsters, and they couldn't run away because a shield was blocking their paths. Yeah. Okay, you could say, oh, you have to treat it more like a D&D kind of game, Matt. It's like, okay, sure, we're still gonna talk about that, though. But okay, the effect though, and I keep dancing around this because it's so great. So we all know Bonz loves to use zombie monsters. That was his shtick. However, in that particular duel, Bandit Keith was giving him advice. He was coaching him from the sidelines. I would say this is cheating, but basically Yugi does the same exact thing in every episode with Atem's assistance, so what are you gonna do? Bandit Keith is he's a cheater for other reasons. For like straight up just concealing cards and just, cheating that way. But anyway, so he made Bonz keep throwing out like normal monsters, like Zanki, which is like a samurai dude, which was never given an English release, but he really should have. Look at this guy, he's amazing. Can we just start a petition? Get Zanki English release right now. I don't care. He looks awesome. He's like a samurai dead dude. He needs to get an English release. Crawling Dragon and like Crass Clown, attacking Joey, and Joey was just slaughtering them. There was nothing that really were special about these cards. But then that's when Bonz activates Call of the Haunted, which brings all of these cards back to the field. Zanki gets turned into Armored Zombie, and Crawling Dragon becomes Dragon Zombie, and Crass Clown becomes Clown Zombie. All of these cards were given an English release. It's just that Zanki never did. That's sad, man. Look at it. Doesn't he look cool? Come on. You have to give me that much. He's a vanilla monster. He's got shit for attack. He has no special effect, but damn does he look cool. I think I'm gonna go with Zanki for Halloween this year. I will get that cosplay together. I will be the first ever otaku to cosplay as Zanki. Who's that monster card? It's Pumpking! Pump, pump. Alright, so if I was gonna, like, translate out the verbiage of the card in the anime, it would probably be something like, resurrects all the monsters you have in your graveyard, and they come back as the zombie type. Alright, try to wrap your head around that, but okay. It gets weirder, though. It gets worse. Okay, so, just like the real card, Call of the Haunted, is a continuous trap, its counterpart in the anime is a continuous spell. And every single time the zombie-type monsters it brought back get destroyed by the opponent, they come back from the graveyard continuously. And every time they come back, they get a power bonus. And once again, this is Season 1 rules we're talking about, so the power bonus is not like 200 attack points or something that's like an even number, you know, like a normal card would be. It's like a 10% power bonus, so it's like you start getting cards that have like 1835 attack or something really weird, but that's what it does, okay? Brings back your monsters as zombie type monsters. I guess however many cards you have in the graveyard, however many will fit on the field, get brought back. Bonz had 3, so 3 come back. And then, no matter what your opponent does to destroy them, they come back immediately with a 10% power increase. And on top of that, Bonz also played Pumpking, the King of Ghosts, that has the special ability of ectoplasmic fortification, which allows to, you know, increase the zombie-type monster's attack even more by literally pumping them full of goo. Ectoplasmic fortification. I love that. You know what? I know that there's already not a lot of room on the cards for text. Like, they literally had to redesign the cards a few times, and they had to shorten words, like, the graveyard is now the GY in order to save space. So, you know, they couldn't do this for logistical reasons, but, you know, they should really take a page out of Pokemon's book. This is my Yu-Gi-Oh! Histories little tote that I keep under my dresser until that one time a week when it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Histories night. They need to take a cue out of, like, Pokemon. This is Croconaw here. But they have to add, like, names for the special abilities, like Plunge or Bite. So you would play Pumpking, and the name of the attack would be Ectoplasmic Fortification, and then it lists off what the effect does. I get there's not enough room for the cards to do that. It would be a really cluttered mess, but it would be cool. I can't say it would not be cool. But anyway, yeah, so that's how Bonz ran it. Except the weird thing is, you know, Joey won that duel. Remember how he won it? He used Shield and Sword, and Shield and Sword reversed the zombies' attack and defense points, because whenever the monsters got brought back, it was only their attack that got boosted, not their defense. And it was the same thing for Pumpking, the King of Ghosts. He only increased the attack of the zombies. So Joey flipped their attack and defense and then destroyed them with Battle Warrior. Probably the first and only time in the history of anywhere that Battle Warrior has ever been useful. Has anyone ever won a competitive tournament using Battle Warrior? Well, guess what? You got a challenge now, bitches. Okay, but yeah. Now, he did this and reduced Bonz' life points, but they made it seem like in the anime, like, the zombies aren't coming back anymore, even though the effect would still work for Call of the Haunted, but he took out the life points, so that's all that mattered at that point. Now, I don't believe Call of the Haunted ever really played a critical role in the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't even know if it was ever used after the duel with Bonz. And Bonz did you know the fate of Bonz, like what happened to him? Alright, so this is a contender for one of my favorite episodes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, keep in mind, I've only watched the, you know, first seasons of, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, like with Yugi and Joey, and a little bit of GX. Actually, I've seen about half of GX, I want to see. I've seen all of Season 1 and 2, and it was right about like halfway through Season 3 where I stopped watching GX, and they never dubbed Season 4, so I gotta go back and watch Season 4, because I know what happens. I know it's Darkness is the main villain, he comes back and everything, but everything with, like, Bell, that was never really resolved for me, so I'm not really sure how that works. So I had to go back and watch those episodes. But, one of my favorite episodes out of the whole shebang of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, episode 79. It's the episode where, Bakura duels Bonz. And it's a great episode. episode. It really is. It has a lot of cool imagery and animation. The entire time they're dueling in the cemetery, this like purple fog starts creeping in, and Bakura's super his English voice is great, but Bakura's Japanese is terrifying. I think it's the same VA that does the voice for Ash Ketchum or Satoshi, but just imagine Bakura's like childlike, terrifying occult laugh. You know, it's creepy as shit. And he's dueling Bonz, and he's using like the Earl of Demise and everything, and Bakura ends up winning. Bonz doesn't use Call of the Haunted during the duel. I believe he uses Premature Burial, and Bakura uses the Shallow Grave at one point, which are both also cards that bring back monsters from the graveyard, and there's like certain like stipulations for it. Like I think Shallow Grave, I think it's like both players bring back a monster, and I think with Premature Burial it's like an 800 life point cost you have to pay. So in that regard, I mean, Call of the Haunted is cool in that it doesn't require a cost to initiate. It's just that it stays on the field if your monster is removed, not destroyed. So that kind of sucks, but I guess there's no real problem in playing it there. So yeah, it was pretty cool in the anime. We got to see a few more magic cards that bring monsters back from the graveyard. We also get the introduction to Ectoplasmer. I believe the first card. No, I think Ectoplasmer was also used in Arcana's duel with Yugi, but Ectoplasmer, a card that Yami Bakura uses to defeat Bonz. And if you've only watched the 4Kids dub, then you know what's going to happen next. It's the same thing that happens anytime that Bakura or Merrick duel. It's, I'm sending you to the Shadow Realm. Ooh, the creepy, foggy, purple place. In the Japanese, they get sent to hell. Yep, straight up hell. Bakura even mentions it by name, like, I'm sending you to hell. And you see these shadowy images. They're in a cemetery, so you see the shadowy images of the ghosts clawing their way out of the ground. They're just like these like shadowy, like formless beings, but they have like eyes and hands, and they just grab Bonz and his like two lackeys. It's Zygor and Sid in the English. I forget what their names are in the Japanese, but they just get dragged down into hell. And you know what? It's funny because in the 4Kids dub, they even have Bakura throw in a line that's like, you will wander the Shadow Realm until I see fit to set you free. So implying that like they maybe have a get out, maybe someday Bakura might bring them back. But no, in the Japanese, he straight up sends them straight to hell, does not imply that they're ever coming back. So they are seriously trapped in the bowels of the underworld for all time. Yeah. Now, maybe you could throw it in that when Korra's spirit was vanquished at the end of Millennium World and Bakura was finally freed from it, then maybe they got brought back, maybe they woke up somewhere, but then again, they've seen effing hell! You can't really come back from that, you know what I mean? They come back and they're like, I have seen the deaths of 1,000 men, I have seen my own death 1,000 times, I drowned in wasps! WKUK reference, but yeah, so that was the situation that happened with them. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about Call of the Haunted. I did bring this card up in my censored cards video a few years back, and it was censored because the tombstones on the card were originally cross tombstones, so they had to change it. They actually put two new words on here, and actually in Greek, and one of them is like the rough Greek translation to just Konami, so I see what they did there. But the other word they used in Greek, it's kind of rough to translate it out, but the best guess is it's Hanako, possibly referring to Hanako-san, and if you do not know who that is, it's an urban legend from Japan. I had to sidetrack and research this because it's Halloween and it's creepy. So Hanako is basically the Japanese equivalent of Bloody Mary. So you know the Bloody Mary, urban legend, you go into the bathroom, you turn off the lights, and you say, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and then, she appears. Do you ever see Candyman? Go watch Candyman. But anyway, in the Japanese equivalent of that, it's you go into a restroom in a school on the 3rd floor, and you go into the 3rd stall, and you knock on the door 3 times, and you ask, are you there, Hanako-san? And then she's purportedly supposed to answer, I'm here. and if you open up the stall door, you'll see a zombie schoolgirl sitting there in a red skirt. And in some variations of the tale, it's like the same with any urban legend. It changes depending on what region of Japan you're in. Sometimes it says, she'll kill you, she'll drag you into her hell world. Sometimes, after you knock 3 times, a ghost hand will appear. Sometimes it's covered in blood, sometimes it isn't. So that's the urban legend of Hanako-san. And actually, it's also a reference to, J.K. Rowling used these kind of things as references when she made Moaning Myrtle from the Harry Potter books, the bathroom ghost. So yeah, there you go. You learned something new today if you didn't know about Hanako-san. So yeah, pretty creepy shit, but it's Halloween, so creepy is kind of the thing that we're supposed to be doing right about now, you know what I mean? Well, I'm very overexposed there. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's plenty more of them to come, and yeah. I just really wanted to talk about Bonz, if nothing else. I mean, Call of the Haunted is really not all that unique on its own, but I wanted to talk about Bakura and Bonz. And I have a Destiny board video coming up at the end of this month, so that'll also be very Bakura-centric, obviously. But until then, thanks everybody for watching. Tekking101, returning to my grave. I need to get a haircut. Oh, I want to show you this. So these are just random tombstones I bought at the dollar store, nothing big, but for one reason, I don't know why, none of the other ones have anything written on them. Some of them are just vacancy and just gibberish, but this one, for whatever reason, it's Nikola Tesla's grave. Why pick him? It's like these three, these are all gibberish and vacancy, but then they decide, no, let's pay homage to the inventor of the light bulb. Let's give him the credit that Edison stole from him. Yeah, let's do that.